Okay. So similarly, here also, based on the Bhagavatam qualities and based on the differentiation, the four varnas and the four ashramas are mentioned. Now, after stating this, Thakur states, from the differentiation, these 30 characteristics, four varnas and the four ashramas. Based on these characteristics, the degree we possess them, from that we can identify the word. He quotes from the Bhagavatam again from the 11th canto. He says, Vikshar dharma samo hemsa tamo iksha vana kavasaka rehino bhuta shikya vijja vijja acharya sevanam. Main religious duties of a sannyasi is equality and non-violence. Bhikshuka is a sannyasi. Dharma, samo, and ahimsa, non-violence. Whereas for the Vanaprastha, austerity and philosophical understanding of the difference between the body and soul are prominent. For Iksha was mentioned, distinction between good and bad. This is the Vanaprastha. And the main duties of the householder are to give shelter to all living entities and perform sacrifices. Itya, Bhuta Raksha, Itya. And the brahmachari is mainly engaged in serving the spiritual master. Vejash Acharya Sevanam. The life occupations of the four varnas are stated as follows: study, teaching, worship, giving charity and accepting charity. These six are the brahmanas' occupations. Out of these, they should maintain their life by teaching, worship, and accepting worship. These are the six activities of a brahmana: Tanpatana, Yajana, Yasana, Dana, Pratikara. Kshatriya's occupations are protecting the praja by punishing miscreants and maintaining the life by taxation. Farming, protecting cows, and business are the Vaishya's occupations. Only serving brahmanas is the livelihood of the Shudras. The traditional occupation of those who are lower than Shudras are their means of livelihood. Those who are lower than the Shudras, for them also, what traditional occupations they are the means of their livelihood. Now, if you see all the four, the Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, the Vaishnavas, and the Shudras, all their means of livelihood are discussed here. Means of livelihood are discussed. From all these conclusions of Srimad Bhagavatam, all these conclusions of Srimad Bhagavatam, it should be understood that performing devotional service to Sri Hari is the only purpose of life. There is no other purpose. So this as we as devotees also understand this. Now, this is very important for us to understand, and we are coming out the concept of Vritti. Please hear very carefully, and if you have any questions on this, we will take it. Now, what is Thakur saying here? Unless one makes the gross and subtle bodies favorable for devotional service, one cannot engage in such. There is a need for some arrangements in order to attain a favorable condition in those two bodies, gross and the subtle bodies. There is, a need for some arrangement. There has to be a favorable condition. in order to maintain the gross body, there is a need to accumulate a house, household items, grains, and grain. So the gross body has a particular requirement. Now, a renunciant can stay in the hut and peacefully perform his bhajan. There is a businessman, he also comes to bhakti. If he is told to stay in a hut and perform his chanting, he will not be comfortable. He will be not sure. So there is the requirement of the gross body. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is speaking about that. That you need these things for the gross body to be properly situated. Then, for the propensity of the subtle body, one needs proper knowledge and proper occupation. Now, usually I ask, very young students who are just in their PUC 1, PUC 2, what is your inclination? And usually they are very confused what field to choose. Firstly, you need the right knowledge and then the right occupation according to your knowledge. This is now what's being spoken about down Vritti now, based on your swabha. This is not knowledge about pure devotional service. This is knowledge based on your impressions, swabha. Because in the material world, you need material knowledge to sustain the material body. Occupation, livelihood, you need that. So one has to have proper knowledge and then proper occupation. If we don't have that, then there is some internal conflict going on. Uneasiness, confusion. So many things go wrong, and sometimes many are bewildered for years together to really find out what is my inclination. And that's why sometimes they change their fields because they are not internally satisfied or situated properly. This is the reason. So there is this need of the gross and the subtle bodies. Now, in order to make the bodies completely favorable for devotional service, there is a need to situate them above the modes of nature.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Okay. Now, what is Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying here? In order to make the bodies completely favorable for devotional service, there is a need to situate them above the modes of nature. Initially, he spoke about how to subdue the modes of passion and ignorance and situate in the mode of goodness. And now he has spoken that there is the need of the gross body, there are needs of the subtle body. And both these bodies have to be made completely favorable to devotional service. And after making them favorable to devotional service, you need to situate them above the modes. Very interesting. The gross body also has to be situated above the modes. The subtle body also has to be situated above the modes. Okay. Due to the results of fruitive activities from time immemorial, whatever nature and desires a living entity develops is certainly a mixture of goodness, passion, and ignorance. By first enriching the mode of goodness, one should diminish and defeat passion and ignorance and make goodness prominent. When the mode of goodness is completely under the control of devotional service, then it becomes nir. Following this gradual process, one's body, mind, and environment become fit for devotional service. Now, here I have summarized everything in this chart. So, the soul has to be made favorable for what? Devotional service. But we have a gross body and we have a subtle body. Now, the gross body has certain need. It needs, we need a house, we need household items, grains, drinks, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying. As I was mentioning, no, if I'm not having a good residential house, I cannot do my devotional activities. Whereas a sadhu can sit in a bhajan kutir and do it. But based on whatever state or whichever varna we belong to, we will need that kind of a situation in order to even practice our devotional service. That's why Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita 4th chapter is saying Shariram Kevalam Karma. So that Shariram Kevalam Karma will be different for a Brahmana, for a Kshatriya, or for a Vaishya. It will differ. So there is the need of the gross body. And then for the subtle body, proper knowledge and occupation. Now the gross and the subtle body should be made favorable for devotional service. Both should be favorable for devotional service. Like simple example, many of the grahasthas are staying here backside the temple. So for them, it is favorable to practice devotional service. So the gross body and the subtle body also similarly have to be situated so that they are favorable for devotional service. And then situate the gross and the subtle body above the three modes. And then you can practice bhakti, nirgun bhakti. You can practice nirgun bhakti. Now, this is a topic which is what Prabhupada desired and wanted. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying, there is a need for varnashram dharma while a human remains in the stage of piety and impiety that is born of his. He says, varnashram is the perfect vehicle by which we can enter into pure devotional service. So that's why he's saying there is a need for varnashram. Main purpose of varnashram dharma is this. By gradually following varnashram dharma, a human being will become eligible to perform devotional service. By following this varnashram, you will become eligible to practice devotional service. And here devotional service means pure devotional. Now, he quotes. Srimad Mahaprabhu has quoted the following verses from Srimad Bhagavatam to Sanatana Goswami. In the Sanatana Shiksha Chaitanya Charitamrita, Mahaprabhu himself quotes these two verses. Now, these are the famous verses from the 11th canto. Mukha pahor padyabhya urasya shashame saha chatvaro jadvidre varna punirvipradaya. Each of the four
orders. Chatvaro Varna, headed by the Brahmanas, Vipradaya, was born vertebrate to the different combinations of the modes of nature. Puna, of the face, arms, thighs, and feet of the Supreme Lord in his universal form. Pushyasya, Mukha, Bahu, Guru, Padavya, along their ashramas. So we know the Brahmana is head, the Kshatriyas are the arms, the Vaishyas, the stomach, and Shudras are the limbs. So they were born from the Supreme Lord's universal form. Gune Viprate Apratak Saisham Purusham Sakshat Atma Prabhavam Ishwaram Na Patit Avajanati Snana Prashta Patantyadha. If any of the members of the four varnas and the four ashramas, Yaha Yesham, fail to worship the Lord, Ishwaram na bhajante, and thus disrespect the Lord, Avajananti, who is the source of their creation, Atma Prabhavam, they will fall down from their ashram. Stana, Prashta. So one has to be situated in his varna and ashram and perform devotional service. If one is not situated and doesn't, worship the Lord, being situated in this, then what will happen? Stana, Prashta. Now, in the Ramananda Rai Samvad, Mahaprabhu is asking, Satyara Nirnay, tell me what is the ultimate goal of life? Satyara Nirnay. And there, Ramananda Rai is answering this. Ramananda Rai said that the process of achieving the supreme goal, Satya of life, is given in the Vishnu Puran. Varnashrama Acharavata Purushena Parapuman Vishnur Aradate Panta Nanya Tattosha Karanam. One can worship the Supreme Personality of God as Vishnu by proper discharge of the principles of Varna and Ashram. There is no alternative to pacifying the Lord by execution of the principles of Varna Ashram. So when Ramananda Rai gave this answer, what did Mahaprabhu say? What did he say? Eho Bhaya. This is external. And all the devotees know this answer. Thakur is going to give some deeper meaning to that answer. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, however, repeated this process as external, higher, and requested him to go on a higher conclusion. Don't go, speak more. Purport of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's statement is this: O Ramanand, Varnashram dharma is meant to regulate the gross and subtle bodies. Because Varnashram is based on the Svabhava, non-vritti. The Varna, Brahmana is a mode of goodness. Soul is not a mode of goodness. Soul is transcendental. It is meant to regulate the gross and the subtle bodies. If someone is satisfied only in that, without engaging in devotional service of Krishna, then what is his? So the purpose that you situate your gross and subtle bodies so that you can do devotional service, right? If you are situated in your varna and ashram properly, but if you are not getting attached into Krishna Katha, then all our performance of varnashram duties is what? Simply waste. Shrama evahi kevalam. Therefore, although the process of varnashram is the only means of purification for the conditioned soul, still it is external. So here Bhaktivinod Thakur is making a very important statement. He's saying it is the only means for purification of the. This is the only means for purifying the soul, as stated in the Bhagavatam. And he's quoting this: Dharma sunishtita pumsam Vishwasena katasuya nopade vyatiratim Shama eva hi kevalam. Dharma sunishtita is situated based on your varna and ashram. If you have not developed attraction for Vishwasena katasu or Krishna Katha, Rati, you have not developed attraction, then the performance of varnashram duty is what? Shama eva hi kevalam. From this, one should not conclude that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has ordered us to discard varnashram. If that would have been the case, then he would have not instructed all living entities through his pastimes of completely following the orders of Grihastha and Sannyas. And Mahaprabhu himself followed the Sannyas order of life, and he followed the duties of a Sannyas. As long as one has a material body, the system of Varnashram must be followed. It should remain under the full control and domination of Varnashram is like the foundation of one's supreme occupational duty. When one's supreme occupational duty is matured and one achieves his goal, then the process is gradually clear. So you have to Svabhava Vritti. And these Vrittis are very strong. So you have to do your constitutional duties, Mukha Vritti, and balance both. And slowly, as the Vritti of the Svabhava subsides, the modes of passion and ignorance subsiding, and you're in the mode of goodness, then when you are situated on a transcendental platform and practice your devotional service, then slowly you can give up the nature of the conditioning. We'll have Kirtan, we'll have Kirtan, and after Kirtan we will continue.
Hare Krishna. So we were discussing from this article, basically what is Vritti, and there is particular svabhava one has, and in order to attain devotional service, one has to situate himself in the mode of goodness. And qualities which are conducive to the mode of goodness. That entire list was there. And based on the, are you able to see the? Yeah. So based on these characteristics, one has to know what varna one is. Ashram is very easy to identify, but varna also one has to know. And then Bhaktivinoda Thakur spoke about a very interesting thing, that the gross body and the subtle body has its requirements, and they have to be made favorable to devotional service. And after making favorable, both have to be situated on the transcendental platform in order to practice Shuddha Bhakti, Nirguna Bhakti, because Bhakti means beyond the modes. And that is why he said that Varnashram Dharma, to follow the Varnashram Dharma is the only way by which you can attain this devotional service. Varnashram Dharma is the vehicle. But then he brought out this point that Mahaprabhu rejected it in the Rai Ramanand Samvad. Eto bhai. So what is the deeper meaning of that? That Mahaprabhu rejected it. How do we understand? So that was the discussion where we stopped, and I'll continue that discussion. So from this, one should not conclude that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has ordered us to discard Varnashram. If that would have been the case, then he would have not instructed all living entities through his pastimes of completely following the orders of Grihastha and Sannyas. If that was the case, then Mahaprabhu would have not followed the rules of Sannyas. And nor would he have instructed his Grihasthas, who were all eternal associates, remember that, from the spiritual world. But they were acting in the Grihastha ashram in the pastimes. He would have not instructed. And there is a famous pastime in the Chaitanya Charitamrita of, the Kulina Gramvasis. They come and ask Mahaprabhu, we are Grihasthas, what is our duty? And every year Mahaprabhu instructed that. What is their duty? Mahaprabhu would have not done that. If it is external, why would he then instruct them if it was external? And then he makes a point that as long as one has a material body, the system of Varnashram must be followed, but it should be under the full control and domination of Bhakti. Varnashram Dharma is like the foundation of one's supreme occupational duty. And when one's supreme occupational duty is matured and one achieves his goal, then the process is gradually neglected. So till then, we need to follow it till and I mentioned till when. Again, it is also abandoned at the time of death. So 2 instances he's narrating when you can abandon: at the time of death and when you have attained the goal. Sadhu. In the last half of the verse quoted by Srila Ramananda, it says, Vishnur aradate panta nanya tat tosha karanam. One should know that without following the process of Varnashram Dharma, a materialist has no alternative to pass his life favorable for the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu. Nanyat. This is the only way to achieve the life of a devotee. Human beings are divided according to their nature into the following: Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra, Sankara, and Antejya. Even though the system of Varnashram is not clearly present in some countries, still it exists in a seedling form. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is coming to something practical, which all have questions. Varnashram is not existing. But Varnashram, or the division based on Varna and Ashram, is a universal principle. Prabhupada, in all his lectures, if you see, Prabhupada, wherever he gave lectures, he used to speak that there is an intelligent class, there is a administrative class, there is a mercantile class, and then there is a labor class. So that's the terms he used. So everywhere in the world, you will find these divisions. It is there. According to one's nature, he develops his occupation and accordingly his means of livelihood. So based on the nature only, he'll develop that occupation. By accepting the livelihood and occupation of others, one meets with misfortune. What to speak of misfortune? It especially obstructs one's devotional service. Birth is not the only criteria. The only criteria is one's nature. So we need to know what is our nature. We need not know what is the nature of the soul. That's not so important. It's well known. but we need to know what is our swabhava. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is stated, Yasya yal lakshanam proktam pumso varna vibi vejankam tad anyatrapi drishyate tatteneva vinirdishet. If one shows a symptom of being a Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya or Shudra as described above, even if he has appeared in a different class, he should be accepted according to those symptoms of classification. So, what is one's nature based on the Lakshana? Based on the Lakshana, one has to know that. It doesn't depend on birth. That's why in the Gita, Krishna is saying what? Chatur Varne Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. So here now, many ask this question, how do I know what is my nature? It's very simple. There is Swabhava. Swabhava has to do with the subtle body. Now see what is your inclination of what kind of work you are inclined to do. Swakarma, which is called as Swakarma. So based on your Swakarma, you can know what is your Swabhava. And based on the Swakarma, there is a Swadharma. The Swadharma of the soul is pure devotional service and doing the Navvidha Bhakti. But because we have a conditional body, we need to know, we have to follow that Dharma also. Because if we are doing activities which are not according to Dharma, then we might incur impiety, and that will become an obstacle to practice of devotional service. That's the point Bhaktivinoda Thakur is making. So based on the Swabhava, Swakarma is developed. He develops the occupation. And then there is a Swanirvaha, means of livelihood. So the Brahmana Swabhava, he has a Swakarma, Patan Patan, Yajan Yajan, Dana, Pratigraha. And his Swanirvaha is Dana, Pratigraha. It's very clear. In his commentary, Sridhar Swami has written, based on that verse which he quoted, the Brahmana's main characteristics are qualities such as peacefulness, not birth. If these main characteristics are seen in persons other than those born as Brahmanas, then such persons should be considered Brahmanas. They should not be considered according to their caste by birth. This kind of external varnashrams, dharma, is always to be followed. It has to be followed. It is often useful for devotional service. Members of the four varnas and the lower caste should be eager to progress in their sattvic nature. Now, maybe I'll make that point a little later. If an outcast becomes fortunate due to his pious deeds, then he should progress his cultivation of goodness while following the conduct of a Shudra. Now, we have this understanding that Brahmanas are in the mode of goodness, Kshatriyas are in the mode of passion, Vaishyas are in the mode of passion and ignorance, and Shudras are in the mode of ignorance. That understanding is wrong. Because the gunas are always in combination. So the higher planetary systems, the mode of goodness is prominent. In the middle planetary systems, the mode of passion is prominent. That's what Maitreya tells to Vidura in the third canto. In the lower planetary systems, the mode of ignorance is prominent. Now, within the middle planetary systems where the mode of passion is there, within passion, there is passion goodness. Within passion, there is passion. And within passion, there is passion and ignorance. And within passion, there is passion and ignorance. And now within this, there is the division of the Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and the Shudra. And within the Brahmanas who are in the mode of goodness, as I mentioned, the prominent mode is passion in the middle planet systems. Even the Kshatriyas also have a certain degree of what? Goodness. The Vaishyas also have a certain degree of goodness. And even the qualities of a Shudra, it is mentioned that quality is divine by Bhagavad Gita in the 16th chapter. There is also the mode of goodness. I hope this point is clear. Now, what is Bhaktivinoda Thakur saying in essence, if you have not understood any of his statements right now, up till now, is that whichever mode your vritti is, Swabhav is, try to from there go to goodness. Suppose you're a businessman by nature. You have business. When businessman means he has to look for his fruits. But as you come to devotional life, let me offer a certain portion of my fruits to the Lord's service. So his business nature doesn't change because that is Swabhavajam. It is born out, he's born out of that nature. But as he practices spiritual life and his Swabhava Dharma, in that he has to what? Develop the mode of goodness. His nature will not die. It will not go away. Until what? Until the point? Death. First. Second was pure devotional service. That means he has attained, he's on the liberated platform actually. Till then the conditioning is there. So he has to develop that mode of goodness more and more because that is conducive for his practice of pure devotional service. I hope in summary, whatever, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's statement, if you have not understood, but this summarizes. Everyone should give prominence to devotional service and progress the cultivation of goodness to the platform of nirgun transcendence by the mercy of the devotees. So this is what we need to do. And I gave this example now, just to clarify. These are the stages of Sanatan Dharma. With devotion, the member of any varna is considered the best of the Brahmanas. Without devotion, the life of a Brahmana fixed in goodness is useless. So, okay, just 3 slides and we end the discussion. And the next theme is part of the discussion we will take up tomorrow. I'll just finish this. For example, let us consider the statement. Some Mahatma has said, Narottam Das Thakur, Mahajana ye pata ta te habe anurata purvapara kariya vichar. I will be attached to the path chalked out by the previous and the later Mahajans. Remember, this article is of Sadhu Vritti, following the previous Acharyas. The Rishis and Mahatmas who have taught conduct before the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are counted among the previous Mahajans. So previous to Mahaprabhu, who are Rishis and Mahajans were there, they are called as the previous Mahajans. The conduct seen in the Mahajans after the appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the conduct of later Mahajans. So after Mahaprabhu appeared, all the Mahajans are the later Mahajans. The conductor of the later Mahajans is superior and should be adopted. So for us, Gaudiya Vaishnavas, we have to follow the Mahajans after starting from Mahaprabhu. The conduct of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers is meant to teach people. So that conduct should be followed in all respects. So this is the conduct now we have to follow. This is Sadhu Vritti. And then he will come to that now for the Grahasthas. What are the Sadhu Vritti of the Grahasthas? So this we will cover up tomorrow. And tomorrow we will see that Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to list, one after another principle of what is the Sadhu Vritti of a Grahastha and he will give quotations from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because that is the standard of Mahajans. That is standard of following the previous Acharyas. And the later ones compared to the previous is superior. He has established that. So tomorrow we will see that entire list of what is the Sadhu Vritti of a Grahastha. So in summary, what we discussed today, that there are these 6 principles which Rupa Goswami speaks in the Updeshamrit, which give us perfection in pure devotional service, success in pure devotional service. And it begins from Utsaha Nishchay Dhairyat. And among that, the 6th one is Sato Vritti or Sadhu Vritti. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur, as I mentioned, has written an extensive article of what this Sadhu Vritti is. And basically, he speaks about what is the concept of Vritti. And we discussed that concept of Vritti, Swabhava. And this Swabhava is to do with the subtle body and the gross body also. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has nicely explained that one has to identify one's Swabhav. And to identify one's Swabhava, nature, which is also called as Varna, he lists the 20 characteristics. And based on these 20 characteristics, where one fits in, one has to know that by Lakshana. And identifying his Swabhava, then one has to do accordingly his occupations. Because he has to make that conducive for his practice of devotional service. And only by parallelly doing that and making it favorable, he can come to a point where he can take up to pure devotional service and gradually give up his conditioned activities or the nature according to his Swabhava. And that can happen in 2 cases, he said. One is when he attains the sadhya, or one he gives up his body. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur established also that although in the Ramanand Samvad, Mahaprabhu said this is external bhaya, but what that bhaya means? Because it regulates the gross and the subtle body. But Bhaktivinoda Thakur spoke that how important it is for the soul to practice pure devotional service. He has to first situate the gross and subtle bodies favorably. The gross body has its requirement, and the subtle body needs particular knowledge and occupation. And when that is favorable, then he can practice devotional service. And not only that, he has to make it favorable and then situate them above the modes. Then only Nirgun Bhakti can be practiced. Situate them above the modes. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur gave a very interesting explanation of how to do that. First is, we need to come to the mode of goodness by subduing the modes of passion and ignorance. And from goodness, we can go to the platform of pure goodness. So whichever Varna one is situated in, he has to increase the mode of goodness. He has to increase the mode of goodness by following these characteristics which are given from the Bhagavatam which Bhaktivinoda Thakur spoke. So we will continue our discussion tomorrow, which is more practical, I feel. This is more philosophical. But I summarized the whole principle in one example which I gave. So tomorrow's discussion will be basically what are the duties of a Grahastha. So he's going to give these principles in a list, and he's going to give Shastri quotations from the Chaitanya Charitamrita to prove that this is the principle followed by the great Mahajans. And by following that, one is able to follow the previous Acharyas and then attain complete perfection or success in pure devotional service. Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So do you have any questions, clarifications about only this point or this subject matter which we had discussed? Huh? We need to push the modes of passion and ignorance below. It's not surpassing. We have to subdue them. We have to subdue them. They are like enemies. You need to subdue them. So that's based on the lifestyle. So today we spoke about the occupation, the concept of Vritti. Tomorrow, when we discuss, there will be a lifestyle mentioned. So that lifestyle, what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to list, leading that kind of a lifestyle will help us to reduce the modes of passion and ignorance and situate in the mode of goodness. You can take the mic.
Also, the different varnas. Kali Yuga has progressed so much. It's a blurring of lines. Like you have people who love teaching, and they also like making a lot of money. So I'm saying there's a lot of blurring of lines between Brahmanas, Vaishyas, Kshatriyas. There seems to be a lot of blurring. There isn't clear compartmentalization.
So that I discussed in the beginning of the discussion, that because of the complexities of Kali Yuga, it's very, very difficult to identify and know what is one's inclination. And that's why we need, some modern means and techniques to actually understand it. And I was giving the example, I don't know whether you were there, that one software engineer who was running a company in America, at the age of 45, he changed his occupation, went to college and became an Ayurvedic doctor because he understood that's his natural inclination. So that's why it is important that we identify it in the beginning stages by certain methodologies and techniques, so that his swabhava, he's learning according to swabhava, and so that's favorable for his practice of devotional service. So the complexities were there before also, but it was very clear. But in today's time, because of the complexities have increased, but still one can identify it. One can identify it by following certain techniques. One can identify, and one should know that. And there will be, combinations always. So within the sadhus also, within who are those on the renounced order of life, sannyasis, there are, natures where some sadhus are very detached, and they are more into bhajan. There are sadhus who can also do bhajan and also manage and be organized in, management. So there is combination within that. What to speak, even in the sannyas order, it is there. So what to speak in the other orders, it will be there always.
Glad we are addressing ISKCON, because over many years we've seen that at one point in time, ISKCON were producing the prototype. Everything is kind of the same. So I'm glad we are addressing individuality and propensity here. So a person can feel fulfilled and actually establish himself.
Yes, it is required. Otherwise, it's required.
Thank you.
Any other questions anyone has? Yes, one question we'll take here first. He had raised his hand. No, let him first. Give him the mic first.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you for this wonderful class. Prabhuji, we also have read that Janmana Jayate Shudra and then Kalau Shudra Sambhava, and like Sanskara Bhagat Vijay. So that by birth everybody is Shudra in this Kali Yuga, and by Sanskar, by impressions through doing some activities, somebody can rise to the level of Brahmana, because it cannot be decided at birth. So is it that this sanskar, by sanskar in this particular lifetime also, somebody having a propensity, lower propensity, can become a vijaya by practicing certain lifestyle, or is it that somebody has the lifestyle, has a propensity, and is fixed to that lifestyle and situated in that particular varna and ashram, and he should perform?
Good question. Firstly, I would like to clarify this Kalo Shudra Sambhava doesn't mean that, as I mentioned, Varnashram, principle is a universal principle. Everywhere in the world, you will find people who are in the mode of goodness, people who are in the mode of passion, people who are in the mode of ignorance. You'll find these four classes everywhere. So it's not that, everyone is in the mode of ignorance only. There will be Brahmanically inclined, there will be administratively inclined, there will be, those who are inclined for business. That is there, there is no doubt about it. Now, when we speak about samskars, just by samskars, somebody who is born of a particular nature or particular prakriti, what to speak, I'm speaking of prakriti of the body, according to Ayurveda principle. You cannot change your prakriti. It's not possible. That prakriti is your nature. And vikriti means, when, because of a lifestyle you lead, there are changes in the constitution of the body, and that's why there is disease. And you have to follow a particular lifestyle, which is samskriti, to get to your original prakriti. Okay. So similarly, whatever nature one is having, that nature never dies till even death. Even if you're practicing spiritual life. Anyone here can admit that. Okay. So that's what I was explaining. Being situated in your nature, you have to what? You have to come to the mode of goodness by gradually, based on your propensity to work. In that, you have to work in such a way that you can increase the mode of goodness. So I mentioned there are different levels in that you can go. And gradually by doing that, then you increase the mode of goodness. Thirdly, now somebody who is born with a particular nature, by giving him samskars, impressions, what you're doing is that you are able to, slowly give him spiritual impressions so that he can slowly develop more the level of goodness. Now, this is our observation, and we have seen that in outside organizations who follow the Garbhadan samskars and all the procedures given in the Karma Kanda Shastras, we see that the children who are born, they have all these qualities. But the only thing is that they're not practicing devotion, but they have the samskars. And we have seen that in devotees' families, that devotee children are, having, the dress of a practicing devotee, but they don't have those qualities which, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is speaking here from the Bhagavatam or from the Bhagavad Gita, because the samskars are not there. So samskars can have that effect, bring, in the children where there is mode of goodness. So I had a recent observation that, one particular group of children, all devotee children, had come for a tour. And these are all devotee children's having tilak, kantimala, japamala bag. But not one I could find who was having a shanta swabhav. Not one, And I recently visited a Gurukul in South India. None are devotees because they're not chanting Hare Krishna according to our standard. But all the children, you could see that they were of Shanta Swabhav because they are bought from that samskars. So my point is that if devotees are also giving these samskars and they have these qualities, then they can quickly take up to pure devotional service. That's the point. Is it clear? Any other questions from the Mataji side? Yes, Mataji. Thinking of mine. Yes.
When it comes to choosing the when you have two qualities, when you choose according to propensity and one according to lifestyle. good geometrical expression. When it is different propensity, then how do you choose what?
Now, today we spoke about propensity, sabhava. Now, propensity and lifestyle are connected. They are connected. I was giving the example that even Krishna says, Shariram Kevalam Karma. Whatever is just necessary for your body, perform that activity. Now, I was mentioning somebody who's a Brahmana, he will be, nicely in a small hut, he is able to peacefully practice his bhajana. But somebody is a businessman, he's also practicing Krishna consciousness, but he needs a posh AC room. Otherwise, he'll not be comfortable. His body, gross body will not be comfortable. So he'll not be able to practice. So the Shariram Kevalam Karma will differ based on your Swabhava. And based on that, based on the Swabhav, there will be also a lifestyle accordingly. Yes, both are connected. So the lifestyle has to match according to the Swabhava. And that is why sometimes in the name of preaching, in the name of Krishna consciousness, we cannot impose Sarva Dharman Paritejya. We are not ready for it. Arjuna also was not ready for it. It took him 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita for Krishna to prepare him. And Arjuna is an eternal associate. It is a pastime. And Arjuna also at the last moment, he was bewildered. He could not decide. But again, it is a pastime. So Krishna, right from second chapter, is instructing in the Bhagavad Gita, you will have to go through that, evolve your consciousness to come to that level. And then at a particular point, even if you're, having that kind of a sharira, and you need that kind of a lifestyle, but when you're transcendentally situated, the lifestyle will not matter for you much. But that is only in the case of somebody who's situated on a transcendental platform. So otherwise, we'll have to follow the lifestyle based on our Swabhava. Otherwise, there will be disturbances in our practice of devotional service. Is it clear? Okay. So we will stop now. And there is prasadam for all the devotees. And devotees can have prasad. If there are any other questions, I can personally address them. Okay? Because we don't want to get late. It's 9 o'clock. And devotees can take prasad, and then if they want anything to discuss, then I'm here available. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare